Welcome. I'm Chris Paradise. It's great to know that lots of people are out there. Like most of the things we do in our adventure exploration activities, we always bring perspective across your senses, your eyes, your ears, your smell, your taste. With our documentary film division and my partner, Cody Messick, as a co-founder, we are always searching for ways to reveal, open up people's stories. And the films are a way to do that. We recently dropped an audio cast that had conversations about music and conversations about the outdoors and nature through music, which was not visual at all, which was intentional. And now today, we're bringing you this film festival with films we're super excited about that tell stories, people's individual stories and then group stories in ways that you've never seen before, because these have not been released. So you're seeing them first, which we're super excited about. Cody, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Chris and I, as we really started Adventure Explorations, we found the need to tell what adventure does for people. And the only way we could really do that was by showing people those same stories of here's what comes to the table when you go out and experience these things. And we fell in love with this media of mini documentaries in order to do that. And we felt obligated at the end of the day to share these stories with the world, and just the passion that and the growth that's been happening from the films, and just in these individuals' lives.
Each of them, which we'll describe briefly in a sec, each of them comes at their, I would say, kind of individual revelations, really, right? In a way that we were able to capture. And, Cody, I would say for each of these three films, we didn't know what we were going to get. We thought we knew, we scripted it, we had all the right people. And then, like we always say with the work that we do in our films or anything that we're creating from scratch, we just get out of the way. We try our best to capture the stories. That's what you're going to see. None of it is scripted. None of the people participating followed lines line by line. In fact, none of them had any lines. Honestly, we really let the outside and nature tell the story. Sometimes it's about the nature. Sometimes it's about the relationship with the participants and the actors, so to speak, with nature itself. And so that is what we're going to explore through these films. We are located in 2 locations and operate across the globe really as a brand, that people would know us through all the things that we do. We talk about the different stories that we share and pictures and videos and things, but we are physically located in Pennsylvania. I'm in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Cody.
I'm in Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania.
So we are about 40 miles apart, but we operate really all the way from Philadelphia down to Washington, D.C. and Virginia, all the way out to Pittsburgh, and really do operate in a very large geographic area. And that is because the natural resources that we use to tell these stories, which we searched and searched for, are just incredible. And so each of these destinations we would encourage you to go to, and we'll talk about that at the end. So 3 films. The first one is called For the First Time. And For the First Time was shot on the Susquehanna River, which is very, very powerful, large, long river, not unlike the Delaware. And we brought 2 families together with a group of considerable size that had never been on the water like this. Certainly not on the Susquehanna, and with the experiences we all had that day. We caught as much as we could on camera, all of them participating in things that at times was a little unnerving, maybe a little scary, other times just stunningly beautiful. And so you'll hear their voices throughout. You'll get a chance to almost sit in the boat, wouldn't you say, Cody?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the second film is called Bigotry to Brook Trout, which you normally wouldn't put together. But Cody, why don't you give some preview on that story?
Yeah, so Bigotry to Brook Trout was not filmed by AE, but we fell in love with this documentary, and the story of Jeff Vukolich is the main character in the story. It's really about his life and the transformation that he's gone through fly fishing, and specifically fly fishing for brook trout, and just realizing the differences that people have, and that ultimately we are all the same, and that race doesn't divide us, and it won't divide us anymore. And just his life change in that is a beautiful thing. And Chris and I were working on a showing the International Fly Fishing and Film Festival in 2019, where we first saw this documentary, and we invited Jeff to come out and do a Q&A 2 days before we were going to present the festival. And he said, sure. And he jumped on a plane from Minnesota and flew out here, and we just got to become great friends with him. He is a wonderful craftsman as well. Please check him out, Damn Goods and Gear. And he makes handmade landing nets and paddles for canoeing and kayaking. So please check him out. And then he'll be joining us for our Q&A that we're going to do after this as well.
Just one final thought on Jeff's film in particular. Here we are in March of 2021, looking at not just Jeff's film, but lots of films, and reading about all the struggles that we've been through in the last year and has always been present. And so much of it, of course, is now much more front page and being talked about in a way that has really never been talked about to this degree and this duration. And so Jeff's film does a very good job of opening up that discussion, talking about what's still present, but always with the mindset and his particular story of being able to leave it behind, what it takes to leave it behind. The last film is called The Second Chance. This started off as a promotional film for rock climbing, and it ended up with a very personal story. Nikki, in fact, one of the climbers that day, paused halfway up a 100-foot wall and paused in a way that caught us off guard. As a writer, co-writer on this film, and for the first time, and a filmmaker, I saw something that usually every film reveals. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to tell that story, but Nikki's story needed to be told, not unlike Cody said earlier, and we need to honor that. And so we walked that fine line with Nikki, off the wall and on the wall, talking about the change in life that she was going through and putting herself through. It's really fascinating, a year later almost, that we shot these, to be able to see her story evolve, and she'll tell you more about that in the Q&A as well. So those are the three films. We are going to preview a trailer of one more called That's Wild. Cody, give a quick thumbnail of that, and then we'll jump into the films that we have for today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris and I were just searching for documentaries that we really connected with. We stumbled upon the film That's Wild, and just the great message of taking inner city kids out into the wild and their experience for the first time in that area, and just the transformation that came out of that. And really holds dear to my heart, working with inner city students before, and just really this is done in a fantastic way. It is a full feature length documentary, so we're only going to show the trailer today, but we are going to have a second showing with that full documentary, and we'll do another film festival around that.
So our intention is to do multiple film festivals, at least a couple a year, and continue producing our own and tell these stories in ways we hope you continue to stay up with. So we're going to leave you here. We're going to roll the films. We'll be back for the Q&A, where the film participants will join us. Thanks for coming and thanks for watching and listening. If you have ideas or you have a film you're working on or you have something that you think is something that people need to see, we'd love to take a look at it. Thanks. Let's roll.
Enjoy.
The current is going to do what it wants to do. And so sometimes you just have to change plans at the last second because the boat is heading where it wants to go. Being able to just accept that and work around it changed during the day.
This boat will circle so much quicker than other boats. It would just start going the other direction. Look at how straight this goes. Ours would just start going in a certain, like a bumping cars. Yeah, well, even if we let go paddling, watch how we go. See how we go? We start going out of control.
Look at the scenery. I mean, I didn't even notice these mountains. When you're on the road, you can hardly even see it. But on the water, you can see everything. I keep looking out for that eagle. I know I'm gonna see it any second.
Yeah.
I feel it.
You better look out for that rock in front of us instead.
Sorry about that, reckless driver.
You're good.
Low. I think that's how you this one.
Yeah.
Take a breath for a second.
Let's go for a ride. Okay. All right, now you get yourself situated. Just don't do any burnouts in my boat.
I can't promise.
Okay, okay.
I thought near the Statue of Liberty was the most intense, and but we did it. We were struggling to get to that site, that's for sure.
My God, it doesn't look bad from afar, but it really took some maneuvering. I'm actually surprised I didn't end up in the water the whole day. I just ended up on my butt, that's it.
My wife and I were holding it down, getting pretty tired near the end, but she did a great job.
When you're paddling, dip the paddle in, pull it back. Reverse stroke is just going to be the same thing backwards. Your arms are staying straight, stick it in the water, and just twist it.
It was fun. I haven't had that much fresh air or the family in months, you know. With all that's going on these days, we were in the house and doing not much of anything nature-wise, so this was a real pleasant escape. This is a big-time departure from back in the hustle and bustle, though. We get into a whole nother world and are able to get back to nature. It's a good feeling, huh?
See where everyone's going down right there?
Yeah.
That's where we're gonna kind of go down. Do you like being on the water?
Dude, I love being in the water. The water relaxes my muscles, so it's my favorite place to be.
It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I mean, a lot of fun, a lot of upper body workout. But what I was surprised about is like the muscles that you end up using. You really forget that you're anywhere close to civilization. I mean, even the traffic starts to sound like a waterfall. This is really pretty. Unbelievable, wow. Now that looks like an island, right? I'm not sure, I can't tell from here. It could be a shoreline, just a
attachment or what? It looks like it could be an island.
It took a minute, took a long minute, took an hour or so to really figure out what stroke was going to work in what situation. Like even figuring out how to reverse, those things like that. With two people in a boat, both people have to have the same plan at the same time, or you're literally going in circles or standing still. My stroke was a lot less powerful than his, and so he ended up having to lessen his stroke so that it would be an even direction, because if he's overcompensating for my lack of strength, then we're going in the opposite direction. So it's almost like he had to just change his whole approach to make it work a lot of the time.
All right, we're gonna go up a little bit, have some fun. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Now that was cool. I just saw a frog jump in right there along the bank. Yeah. So if you pay attention to these like rocks, every once in a while you'll see like turtles. You'll see frogs. You may even see like we got a lot of minks up here. Minks are part of the weasel family. They look like a weasel, except they're normally all like a blackish charcoal look, and they're skinny. They almost look a small, tiny version of the otter. What do you think? Pretty cool.
I love it.
This breeze feels amazing.
Arch,
Yeah.
I kind of need a little paddling. It's funny how water just doesn't stand still for you.
Welcome to my office. The biggest thing that I think for the water for everyone that I've taken out, Dylan, is how peaceful it is.
It's so beautiful out here. If I could have a house right on the water, like a lake house or something, I would be much away.
First, we thought it was something we were doing wrong, but because of the size of the boat and because of our lack of expertise, we just had to kind of learn every second.
Using those old lessons and keeping that canoe straight, I must say, it was a lesson we learned.
I was really impressed with my son, though, especially Cole, who just seemed to take to the rhythm of the stroke better than any of us. Then I started getting more nervous for us.
It was just very beautiful to see the hills and the scenery and the water itself. It's quite a joy.
It's a full body workout, even though it looks like all upper body.
The shoulders are feeling it a bit and the lower back, but it was worth it. It was a different experience, but a lot of fun.
Started getting more nervous for us because we were doing a worse job than they were. Oh.
Did you catch one or did you almost fall?
No, it just almost fell. There's a rock right here.
Yeah!
Well, did you hear that echo? That was awesome.
I was not a good kid. I got into some really bad crowds and really bad I mean, really bad dudes, really. And I didn't make a lot of friends, and I mean, the friends I made were not good, and it was just a bad deal. Everything from, illegal guns to, there were some pretty heavy racist things in there, and everybody's got some really crappy things in their past, and they never want to admit it. And I feel like that if you don't really grab a hold of that piece of crap that you used to be and show it around to people, I feel like you're not making the best of the transition that you made from that person. As far as the fly fishing thing, for me, it's being real with yourself, and that I don't like a solid probably third of the people that I run into. They look at you if you roll up with neoprene duck waders and a Walmart or whatever fly rod. Half of these guys look at you and they thumb the bird at you, or you've seen it and you BS yourself if you don't. And the point is, that turned me off, because I knew I used to be that guy. Not necessarily fly fishing, but in the same light that I would thumb the finger to the guy that didn't look the part. So then when I said, well, where can you go that there's nobody? Brook trout. Nobody fishes brook trout. Why? It's a 10-inch fish. Who wants to catch those? I do, I just look at brook trout and go, they're a survivor. You get a brook trout in the fall colors, man, and pearl fins, red dots. I mean, you can't ask for a prettier picture. Yeah, I'm an underdog guy too, and I think they're just an underdog fish. You stare at satellite imagery and you stare at all the maps, and you're looking at corners and you're seeing gravel bars and you're seeing hooks and you're seeing tailouts, and I mean, you are just getting fired up. I don't even have to put the pole together. It's just when you crest wherever you're cresting, or you pop out and you hear it or you see it, the water.
Hi Nikki, how you doing?
I won't find another fight.
It looks like your audio's still connected.
I won't find another fight. I won't find another fight. I won't find another fight. My eyes are closed. My mind unknown. My senses free. If freedom means peace is coming over me. Peace is coming over me.
Growing up, my dad was a big outdoorsman. We used to have horses when we were kids, and I kind of got into racing sled dogs, and I did that for a span of time. Running dogs, we were up in Alaska, and we were in the interiors, in the villages. I was terribly, terribly racist. To a point, you walk around, you see these people, and in your mind, they're just worthless. To a point, they kind of look at you like, what are you doing here? You go to somebody that's a bigot, and you say, what's your point of reference? I was very narrow-minded, not realizing that we live on a pimple on a log in the middle of the ocean. It was never an organized structure. It was just you were okay with hating on people because of their skin. And it's uneducated hate, And then you get up, you get into someplace that's not, the tiny little town of Duluth that you're drawing all of your freaking opinions from. You kind of come back and you look around where you're at and you start talking to a few people, and then you kind of realize, and you go to a few places and you do a few things, and then all of a sudden you realize that, holy crap, I'm the problem.
Peace is coming over me.
It's a culture that you do not realize is there. And if you don't get called on the carpet, or you don't find a watershed moment in your life that makes you stop, you'll just continue. Any of those hate groups like that, their point of reference is very small. They feed on the insecurity of other people. And that's what I was. I was insecure about who I was. If you surround yourself with those people, you're never going to have the watershed moment. If I were to have never branched out, and I've said this a million times over, I'd have probably been dead by now. Like, I was not leading a very productive or healthy lifestyle. So I would have probably been dead. And I'd have probably died of screaming racist.
I won't find another fire. I won't find another fire. I won't find another fire.
Growing up, like, I totally had, like, just too many experiences where I allowed people to tell me what to do or how to be, or gave into peer pressure, or was forced to do things that, like, I didn't want to do. And so I think all of that stuff just builds and builds until, like, finally you break. I was so unhappy with myself and disappointed in who I had become, and it still is, like, you know, F you to me. Like, it's just like, you can't do this? No. I think I put myself out there to try to show myself that, like, it's not important, like, what other people think. Like, you think everybody that's on social media is putting it out there to be like, look at me, look what I'm doing. I think I'm putting it out there more for myself to be like, I can put this out there without feeling self-conscious that people are gonna judge me. Hopefully, I hope to send a message to, like, other women or other people that, like, if you wanna post the picture, post the picture. Like, I don't want anything from anybody. I just want to give. I want people to have what I have from doing these things. I wasn't really athletic as a kid. I feel like I was more, like, girly and didn't really do a lot of getting dirty. Like, I was always the one that was, like, afraid of the ball and just kind of just more into, like, being a girl and looking pretty and like that kind of thing. And I think that's also one of the things about doing sports now is kind of that part of me that I never accessed as a kid. There's nothing more peaceful than being out in nature, being by myself. Like it's one of the only parts of the day where I can really focus on myself and my thoughts, and it gives me the clarity the rest of the day to focus on everyone else.
In the distance right now. He's always saying his name, which is always Peter.
You just feel like you've been told like your whole life, like you have to be a certain way, and then you realize you can do things that, you know, maybe you didn't feel like you could or were able to do before. And then, I mean, it gives me the chills like to think about it, like kind of all the things that I know now that I can do that I didn't really believe I could do, didn't believe in myself. It just gives you like confidence to do like everything else in life.
Pinch our hands on and cup it some friction, but not necessarily for any yeah, so it's not like, it doesn't feel like great. Trust that left foot, push up on that really hard. So you just gotta trust the foot. There you go.
Push.
Yeah.
Get it.
Hi. I was really upset this morning going through my comments and messages. And one of the things that I'm working on is not just ignoring things that bother me. Just because I care about my appearance and I work out a lot, I try to present myself in an attractive way. Doesn't mean I'm looking for some of the attention that I'm getting. I don't know why people think that it's okay to make sexual comments to strangers. It's not appreciated.
If you're proud of something, like, it's okay to be proud of it. Like, you shouldn't be ashamed. It's not like you shouldn't feel like you're bragging or like whatever. Like, if you're proud of it, like, be proud of it. And you'll find that there's so many people like supporting other people out there.
What we want you in is kind of that yellow-orange zone where you're feeling that tension. You don't necessarily think you can do it, but you get to a point where you feel like you've accomplished something.
I think to change, you have to be the person you want to be, even if you're not there yet. You have to think of there's probably a combination of people that I think of when I think of who I want to be, but in my mind, I know who that is, and I just try to act every day like that person, even if I'm not there yet, so that I get closer to that. And I think running that first race was just my first realization of the kind of person or who I wanted to be, and I created somebody from there, and that's where I'm trying to get to. Like, if you tell me that I can't do something, you bet that's the next thing that I'm gonna do. But as soon as I said, like, I'm gonna do something else, and people were like, laughed at it, or like, oh, you can't do that, or, you know, or girls can't do that, or whatever, oh, I'm in. All the things that I know now that I can do that I didn't really believe I could do, didn't believe in myself, it just gives you like confidence to do like everything else in life.
I pray I can do better. Please, give me one more shot. Vowing with this granted wish, I'll give life all I've got.
Right now, I'm just concentrating on like really trying to work and get us somewhere to stay.
So what did you buy for them to eat Saturday?
I got everybody a 6-piece of fries, some rice.
Next time you just get a family meal. Don't try to buy everybody individual meals.
When you're in the city, you're trapped in the bubble. One moment I'll be happy. I'll think about one thing and I'll get depressed.
Wilderness works. When I first heard of it, I thought it was, like a Boy Scout type thing.
How many people are interested in a backpacking trip? We're talking about real adventure. This stuff changes who you are.
I haven't even seen the outdoors. I just heard stories. But I believe that I was meant to be here. Yo, that's crazy.
You never see something so breathtaking in your life?
Look! It looks like God coming up.
But they can't get me now?
Yeah. I think it's safe.
Turn that junk down, bro.
We're gonna blow up real talk.
We've got 4 passes to do. This one is icy. We have to be very careful here.
The air is too thin. Can't breathe. Down the snow. Real talk. We go. Oh.
This is a whole different kind of world. This is a hard world, right?
You're just taking it all in on some mind power trick type thing.
When I get back home, I'm gonna be totally changed.
Most importantly, I want to thank everybody who participated in this film. For everyone out there, at least we're going to clap for you. So applause, applause, applause. Yay, yay, yay. Yeah, there's lots of applause. I can hear it. So thanks for joining. This has been an incredible first experience. Hopefully you got out of these films what was put into them. I can't figure out if it's a nightmare or a fantasy, thinking of Cody up to his chest in the water, trying to convince Dylan and the boat he was in to shoot the rapids, which he did. It was a really, really great day. I do want to shout out all the people that participated that are on this call and their families who put up with us and probably have been waiting and wondering whether this would ever get released. So big thanks For the First Time crew with the Bullock family, Niall and Cole, and Audrey and Belden. Niall and Cole, you can see them now, not in their For the First Time film, but you can see them over and over and over again on the McDonald's commercials. So enjoy that. Dylan, of course, is here. Jeff Vukolich, our friend from Minnesota, he's going to talk in a little while. He looks so different out of the water. I don't know. He's got quite the story to tell and told it in this Bigotry to Brook Trout film in such a magical way. Really incredible, beautifully shot, and the music was great. Second Chance, Nikki's on the line, so she's available. Big thanks to the other actors, Glenn and Kayla and Eric. And then we showed the That's Wild preview and the trailer because we just love this film, but it's about an hour and we didn't want to take up a Thursday night too much. We will play it, and it's not publicly available yet, except at film festivals, and it's fantastically done. So we expect to continue this. We think this gives us a chance to tell stories in ways through our documentary film division that there's just no other way to do it. Matt Stambaugh, director of photography, Christopher Allman was the director on the 2 films out of our documentary division, and the teams that put these together all the credits are in the films. on the website. So please take a look at those and feel free to contact any of them. Cody, bounce it to you, and then I think we jump into the questions.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank everyone for joining, and everyone for coming out on these crazy adventures, and just for being a part of adventure explorations in our story. Yeah, I mean, Chris and I were chatting back and forth during the films, just looking at like, wow, this is amazing. It literally brought us to tears as well, just to see kind of remembering back to those days, and just and then also just the stories and how much you guys have even changed since we filmed these. Is just absolutely fantastic. And then just got a huge smile on my face anytime I see Jeff. So thanks for joining us. Yeah, no, it's great. I think we jump into the questions, and please put your questions in the chat. If you have one, people who are watching, I would love to answer them.
All right, we're going to pick Nikki first. We have this question that came in right at the beginning. So probably somebody who knows you, Nikki. I know that you released a video last night to invite people. I think your people showed up. So that's exciting. So you really put it on the line for sure. What were you thinking? Why did you agree to do this film? You are obviously at a point in your life that this was important for you to do. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So when we started doing the film, like, I'm always up for a good adventure and a good challenge. So I think that's originally why I took on this project. At the time, I was in the middle of my own personal growth journey, and just saw this as another opportunity to kind of accelerate my growth, which it did in a profound way. And it really kind of reminded me of my strength, because it was a new challenge, and made me realize the importance of kind of sharing that with people, and helped me to kind of put everything out there, just because I felt like, you know, my story isn't, while it's unique, I think everybody has their own personal growth story. And I think when we share it, it just helps us feel like we're not alone, and to keep pushing forward. So I think I really did it as a way to feel like, you know, I was living out my purpose by doing it.
Yep. Well, I'll tell a very, very brief story, and Nikki, I'll come back to you because we have a question, another follow-up question for you. So we did a really beautiful rock climbing video, which we'll share on the website. But what happened was, I saw Nikki up. I mean, you have to imagine 50 feet up is kind of high on a sheer rock that Nikki was climbing, and I saw her put her head on the wall, and it just froze me. I was thinking, wow, there's just, you don't naturally think about something else when you're 50 feet up and 50 feet to go. But this question, I think, is a good fit. He said, I think yes, it's a gentleman. I love the simplicity of acting like the person you want to be. What's your next challenge?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, as far as like a next physical challenge, I definitely have some of them coming up. But as far as like a personal challenge, I am really working on a brand right now called Sanity Loading, that I am trying to help other people express themselves and promote optimism around like personal growth and this journey to becoming your most authentic self, and letting people that it's okay, know that it's okay to struggle, and just kind of accepting wherever you are in the process. So I think my next challenge is really just figuring out how to best help other people with what I've learned.
Thank you, Nikki. We're going to jump over to Cole. Go ahead, Cody. You want to grab it?
Yeah, you got it. Cole, got a question in for you. How'd you get so comfortable paddling on the water so quickly? You were just for a natural. It was like riding a bike. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, I don't even know. It's like, that was probably the first time I've really been on the water for that long, like on a boat like that. and I kind of was just, like rowing and just getting with the flow. And I don't know, I just found my pace and I just kept on going. I was like getting ahead of everybody else. And it really just came to me like that. Like just pretty
Yeah,
much.
it was so funny to see like your brother's face in the film of like he's about to flip, he's like and catches himself, and you were never that way the entire time. It was like just a natural like paddle stroke. It was crazy to see. Had you done like any lake paddling before that or anything?
No, honestly, really barely anything. Like I did the swan paddle in the boat, like the basic one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, other than that, really nothing. So I surprised myself doing that. It was crazy.
Yeah. Got a question for you.
Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, it says, Cole, which part of being on the water was your wow moment?
Probably going down the current, going past the statue and down that current. That was probably the wow moment for me because I was a little bit like stressed and stuff, but like I knew it was gonna be good and I was just gonna go down that stream and it was gonna be fine. But,
for those of you who weren't there, which is everyone else, it was about 6 hours into the trip when we finally got to that part. So definitely some tiredness coming in, and you guys crushed it. What did you think when you saw your mom and dad hit that rock, or at least hear it?
Oh yeah, I was in front of them. I was trying to get ahead so much. So when I stopped and looked back, I'm like, why is everybody taking so long to get down there? And I was like, oh, because that boat that they were using was like so much. It was more difficult than the one that I was using. So
yeah,
it was a challenge for them. I'm glad I wasn't on that boat.
There's a rule in paddling that the Susquehanna, I believe, paddle club says that a husband and wife cannot paddle together as one of their rules because it causes too many divorces. So, I'm glad they made it through.
Yeah, I'm glad too. They did well.
I leaned over to Cody at one point and I said, they're going backwards more than forwards, I think. But Audrey, your mom, figured it out, and Belden. But then they had a great day. Hey, we're gonna bump over to Jeff. This question came in for you, Jeff. Your courage to be so open was so disarming. Why did you decide to do your film? Like, what was your moment that, let me do a film that's about the hardest thing in my life I could talk about? Or if you don't mind, just rip that cover off and talk about that.
Well, honestly, it was very organic. David Corden, who was a friend of mine, we didn't set out for this film. Inevitably, like any good film, and I don't mean that in any negative connotation. It just happened. It was very organic. 4.5, 5 hours of audio on a completely different project, some adult beverages, and a hot summer night. And I have no shame. I have no problem talking about anything I've ever done in my life. And next thing you know, we have 4.5 hours of audio that's compiled into 15 minutes, and the actual visual of it was shot on a premise of a different narrative of a different film. So it was kind of a happy accident. I'm not going to lie. I've never shied away from anything. It happens. And with the environment that is the land that we live in, I'm very vocal about it, and it came up, and I'm not shy. I don't shy away from talking about it. So it was an organic experience, which I think added to a lot of the authenticity of the film.
Yeah, your story and Nikki's story is remarkably different, but also remarkably similar. Nikki lives her life now, I think, and Nikki, I don't want to put a date stamp on it, but you've chosen this social media path. to really have hard conversation with people that follow you, not unlike Jeff and his complete disarming way. By the way, we met Jeff at a film festival, completely unrelated, and I watched with Cody. I watched an audience full of 100 people cry when Jeff showed the film, and then he talked about it. And there were some people in that audience that I'm sure walked away changed. So the chance to be that vulnerable is no joke. Okay, let's bounce to Dylan. You here, Dylan?
What's up? What's up?
There he is. This is the infamous Dylan. He joined us on a boat for, I don't know, Cole, what were we out there, about 27 hours or something? I think we were out 7.5 or 8 hours, but Dylan never complained once. He sat in the front of that boat and was like master and commander. Cody, we have a question for Dylan.
Sure do. Dylan, you were the king on the hill on the front of the boat. Did you see anything unusual while you guys were on the sides of the river?
I saw a lot of things that I've never seen before, and it was really peaceful. It was landmarks and mountain tops and a lot of sunshine.
Nice. Can you tell everyone just how heavy your chair is so that we actually feel in the film that we're not that weak, that it actually is heavy?
You guys are not weak at all. You guys are my heroes. My chair is probably 495 pounds by itself.
It was quite a beast. I know Ben was hurting. Can you talk about just Ben a little bit and how the day was spending it with him and just the great guy he is?
Ben John is an amazing person all around. He is a guy that I could probably hang out with every day. He's just calm and he doesn't judge. And he understood me a lot quicker than a lot of people do. And that's very hard to come by. I have a lot of people that have a hard time understanding me, and he talked to me like I was a normal human being, and it was a great experience.
You're the most normal human being I know, Dylan. So.
For those of you that want to go out and have a good time, Dylan is a lot of fun. Just for the record. Back to Nikki. The moment where you thought, I'm going to create change, was it immediate or was it a process to get there?
So I guess if I understand the question, it's about when I decided that it was about a second chance or really kind of changing things. And I think it was a process, but I do think there was a point when I just woke up one day and realized that I was living a life that I wasn't proud of. And I
asked for the strength to do things differently. And from that moment on, I decided that in order to do that, I had to focus on being the kind of person that I wanted to be and figure out who that was. And, you know, it's still work to do that and to figure that out, but at least I know, you know, the path that I'm on and, you know, why. So.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, this one's for you. Your fly fishing obviously is your passion, but it's also your getaway. What is it about fly fishing that if you would, for this audience that's predominantly non-fly fishing people, and there is a question here for you, Cole, Dylan, and Nikki, are you guys ready to try fly fishing or what? Jeff's probably the person to answer that. What is it about fly fishing, aside from the film? Like, what does it do to you, for you, that people have to do it? Like, get inside of that a little bit.
So what I would say is, as people move through their life, like Nikki had kind of alluded to earlier, you finally realize what it is that you want and how you want it. And the fishing industry is full of people that quote rip lips, or it's about quantity, it's about size, it's about holding giant fish on Instagram, it's about a culture that is very unfulfilling. There's never a top to the mountain. It's just constantly climbing. So for fly fishing, for me, what it amounts to is you can catch fish very easily if you have if you use the technology that's out there today. There's amazing sonars, there's amazing bait recreations, there's amazing technology in rods and reels, and it takes the sport out of it. Fly fishing for me is tying your own fly with a pattern that you have learned recreates a prey species to an animal, and you go into a completely wild spot that you can't run sonar on, you can't put a depth finder down, you can't see what's underneath there. You have to actually use what you've learned, or what you even just feel with the energy of the water and the environment around you, to be able to hope that there's a fish there. And honestly, if you can present your fly in a fashion that walks with the flow of the river, that imitates a being that is as natural as it can be, even if a fish doesn't take it, willingly takes it, that's a success for me. So for me, it's an absolute getaway, because there's too much certainty in the world, and fly fishing allows me to fail, for a lack of a better term.
Interesting. Hey, Cole, just listening to Jeff give his perspective on fly fishing and the world that you live in as an actor, as a musician, you've had a lot of success at a young age. See, I know this is hard to do given your age, but how does what Jeff is saying fit into everybody's world, not just yours, but everybody's world, to like put your foot on the brake and like find a way, whether it was being on the water like you were, or what Jeff's describing with just walking through the water and fishing? How would you, in your world, crazy world, I'm sure at times, find a way to connect with that peacefulness?
Well, I'd say like for me, getting into the water, since I'm not used to it as much anymore, I never did it before really. I had no choice. Like, I really just had to sink into the environment and like really just explore and just, experience it and not think too much into it, but to just, do it. And that's part of why I was able to catch on so quickly and, just be able to row and row for all those hours and stuff. Like you just kind of have to just go ahead and do it, and just you feel it, you know.
Yep. And do you bring that? This is a question that came in that's I'm riffing it a little bit, but do you bring that kind of calm, I suppose, to all the entertainment things that you're doing? Are you able to find that like I'm just giving in because it's just like you talk about that?
Yeah. Like if I'm playing a character or something and I'm doing a scene, the same type of stuff goes into that. Like just like really sinking into what you're doing and not thinking about anything else, just, being in that moment. And it helps a lot. So yeah, it ties in.
Somebody asked, what are some of your hobbies off screen?
Oh,
I think you're watching or something.
well, I do play sports. I like basketball, so that would be one of my hobbies. And I play video games. So yeah,
Cool.
those two.
Cool. Go ahead, Cody.
This one's for Jeff. This one came in, it says, Jeff, changes a journey. How far along are you? Do you still get caught off guard from some residual or subconscious bigoted beliefs?
Sadly, no. The trash that is around and is constantly around does not surprise me. That garbage is constant, and it doesn't surprise me at all. As far as my personal journey, you never stop learning. You never stop trying to realize subconscious ways that you talk about things, and not necessarily even race, but gender. They all fall into that same narrative, and every day I'm surprised at that I can find other ways that corporations, that just the world in general skews and tries to change people's minds over race and gender and just any of that stuff. I would say that it's a constant learning process. The overall, not a surprise. It's out there, and kudos to the people in this group that want to fight that and constantly are trying to make that a positive change for this world. But every day people need to realize like that stuff's out there. It's not going to change unless people stand up and make a change.
Yeah.
Yeah, great point. Thank you for saying it like that. Nikki, it's a good opportunity to bounce back to you on this point in particular. The kind of moments now where there's more conversation, the progress, I'm not sure, I don't want to judge that here, but there's more conversation, particularly as a woman in the position that you've taken to have a voice and opinion on very difficult issues. Mental health in particular, as kind of a broad sweep. Jeff kind of said it gets kind of narrowed down and taken, stripped off of all the hard conversation. Can you talk a bit about the culture that you're working your way through with where your business is going, and how you're running into those challenges, and maybe aside from running, how are you conquering that?
I mean, I feel like society is going in the right direction, and I feel like it's more at my age kind of fighting my own I don't know, the voices in my head from, when I was, growing up, or the times when, women didn't do certain things or were expected to be a certain way. And so it's really a matter of fighting myself and not as much of fighting the external obstacles, because I do feel hopeful, and I do feel like things are moving in the right direction. And I see, even with my kids, I have teenagers, and the way that they talk about each other and how accepting they are of, gender, race, everything. it's a really amazing generation to watch. So I think my biggest challenges are internal, and just fighting those is really what I'm working on, and hoping to help others who maybe have those same, that same background or those same voices in their head, just work through that together.
Matt Stambaugh, the DP on the film you were in, the director of photography, he said, how do you recommend to others that haven't found their spark yet to do it?
Is that for me?
That's for you. Yep.
I think it's just through being aware. Like, self-awareness is so important. And once you're kind of aware of that stuff that's going on in the background, or, once you're aware of your own thoughts, you can start to make the changes that you need to make. So I think it's really a matter of studying yourself and really getting to know yourself. And I think challenging yourself is a way to do that. Whether it's through sport or, talking to other people or reading and learning and being open-minded. I think all those things are really important. I think being open-minded is such an underrated value. And I think that you really just have to kind of open yourself up to the possibility of change. So.
Thank you for, again, kind of being so vulnerable. Everybody's just been so willing to share with this audience. We have a minute or so. Cody, you have a question for Dylan. We'll let Dylan take us out here, and then some quick thank yous, and having a good night.
Okay, Dylan, I got 2 questions for you. Question 1, what was your favorite part?
I can tell you my least favorite part was getting sunburned. I think my sunburn lasted for 45 days. Boom. My most favorite part was just being in the water and having nothing to worry about, because with my business, I'm constantly worrying and entering telephones, and I knew that day was just to relax, and it felt amazing.
Yeah. The second question comes from Matt Stambaugh. He says, tell the truth, were there any burnouts on the boat?
Yes, I guess I have to answer that honestly. I did do a couple burnouts when nobody was watching, but please don't tell Ben.
Would never. Never tell Ben.
Normally Dylan's wearing his t-shirt to advertise his DJ business. So if you happen to be anywhere in the 100-mile radius or so of Pennsylvania and you need a great DJ, Dylan's the man. So I guess we'll leave it on that. Nikki, thank you so much. Jeff from Minnesota checking in with us. Thank you so much. Everybody that's on the line. Cole, you squeezed your way in there. Thank your brother for stealing his computer. This was really quite extraordinary, and the films everybody got to share just saw a side of humanity that's maybe hiding sometimes, and you change a lot of lives. So thank you so much from Cody and me. Great night. Anything else, Cody? Otherwise,
no, it's just one of those things of like, I wish these conversations happen more and we're more present in the world, and just appreciate the openness that you guys had, and just the fun and the joy that I got to have by just speaking with you and knowing all of you, and to just have real conversations is just something I think the world really lacks, and is also probably the thing the world needs the most right now. is just true, authentic conversations about just all the crap we're going through and all the fun we can also have as well. So appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you. It's a privilege. Good night.
Night.
Thank you.